and enjoy his stay. Especially now that his statues are being demolished all over the place. I'm just asking questions, so sorry for the early digression. My name has always remained Sefo Dawu Bida Kosivi Kosi Kokosa Achka. And I am the bold, fearless, no-nonsense, but very highly objective grandson of the great Togbi Wana for Tegui in the great water region of Ghana, or whatever is left of it. This evening too, I have a few things to allow my village autonomous mouth to run amok about, so help me God. But before that, please, I want to ask a question. Please, what underpins the behavior of Yanum in terms of the level of evil they are capable of and how they shout loudly when just a small dose of their own medicine is sent in their direction? I want to know, because my brother, I watched the vetting of the Attorney General designate, and I saw how one of the newly inducted MPs vetting the gentleman made an attempt to refer to quote the dark days of the Rawlings era, how people were flogged, tribunals and rights, quote unquote, among other things. So I said, Cho, maybe I was confused though, and I was not looking at things well. Because if for nothing at all, I have seen 16 years of the Elephant's Party rule in this country. And I am positive that I saw a lot of real evil. In the Wawa era, I recall with sadness the story of one of the original chairmen of a political party in the northern part of Ghana. For some reason, this gentleman was arrested by soldiers, sent to a guard room, tortured, and made to stand on his hands with his legs against the wall, upside down, for several hours. I suspect blood rushing through into his head killed him. His name was Alhaji Isa Mobila. Somehow, the gentleman who was making all the noises about rights on the floor of Parliament on that occasion forgot about the rights of this man who died under wicked circumstances. I also recall how 41 people were slaughtered in one day, in broad daylight, while our security people had nothing to say or do, right here in this country. Maybe those 41 people who were slaughtered in broad daylight had no rights, and were less of human beings than other people. It seems to me that even though there can be no justification for invading people's homes and caning them publicly for hoarding items and unnecessary profiteering, when you listen to Yanum talking, it is as if that was bad. But whatever happened to people like Ediana of Masai was good. Maybe Ediana, for example, should have formed an entire political party and chronicled his experiences in the minds of a lot of people, so that in future they could also refer to the dark days of Kufuor's RPPO. Because by the time Dr. Wawa and his people came to power, Masai was representing some of the biggest brands in the world at the time, like IBM computers and office equipment, Damien Shipyards, SEAT, which is the Spanish equivalent or the Spanish brand of VW, and we're supplying high stays, those heavy forklifts that they used to carry containers at the port. So its staff strength was 400 plus. My dear brothers and sisters, Dr. Wawa's henchmen utterly destroyed Maasai. And then in some cases, they took over his businesses. Was the destruction of Edianan and his business, Maasai, justified because it was not done using soldiers breaking into his offices or homes and forcefully taking over his things? My brother, we were right here as a staff of a vibrant radio station who were working to keep the government on its toes and exposing a lot of terrible things. Before we knew it, some people in the military had been commissioned with a plan, which was a plan on gold, called Plan Glitter or Operation Glitter. And the mission was very simple. Flatten Radio Go to the ground and kill all the people there if need be. Were we chickens, turkeys, or goats to be slaughtered just like that without any thought or any regard for our rights? My brother, who remembers Chachuchi Kata? Lawyer Chachuchi Kata, who remembers him? Never in my entire life have I seen a man so heavily persecuted by government machinery like Chachuchi Kata. Apart from arresting him in church like a common criminal or fugitive, even the manner of his eventual incarceration left many lawyers confounded. It was as if somebody just got angry and said, listen, we are tired of you dribbling us and playing tricks and go inside. It was as if a group of very evil people went into an unholy conclave and told themselves that whatever this guy does, we will cage him. So when he even proved that the so-called fast-track court, which was being used for an unholy amount of propaganda on GTV News at 7 p.m., was an illegal legal institution unknown to our law, they still managed to get the Supreme Court to overturn the judgment too. Now nobody even knows what has happened to the fast track court. When was the last time you heard about it? And because of that fast track court thing, about a lot of nonsense went on. Maybe Chachuchi Kata was less of a human being, and he didn't deserve to have any rights. My brother, I was here in this country and I saw how our justice delivery system treated a medical doctor who has since died as a consequence of the allegation that he was plotting a coup d'etat on WhatsApp using a bunch of rusted hunting guns and all those things. We also have people like KCP and Gojo were treated though. Maybe they were lesser human beings. Does anybody remember the trial of Castle Atufosin and the gusto with which people like Jakpa were dragged through our legal system? To the extent that the immediate past Attorney General allegedly conducted himself in a manner that should have had him disbarred in any civilized jurisdiction if the facts as alleged by Jakpa were true. Yet, nothing happened to anybody. Because as usual, a group of very evil people who had the power and the ability to remove anybody who stood in their way, even if it meant using the courts allegedly, were at work. Oh. Yet, maybe Atufosin and Jakpa had no rights. And after all, there was a lot of light in the stratosphere of Accra. Because the Don Corleone of Chebi was the one ruling. No. My brother, I was here when Jechikwesin dared to contest a seat that for years belonged to the Elephant Party and win it. And so the evil cabal went into their unwholesome conclave again and decided that Yempini, that he had to be removed at all cost. And of course, they had the right people at the right places to help. But you see, no court can overturn the will of a determined group of people. Not even the court that went as far as banning the man from parliament during the pendency of the case. Ironically, that issue of representation of the people of Asinof was not considered as forcefully as it was later, in a very farcical manner in which some people purported to order parliament using judicial power. In the end, all the people in that evil, unwholesome conspiracy got eggs on their faces. And yet there was silence. There was silence in the atmosphere. I mean, people could see that what was being done to this man was wrong. It was unacceptable. It was evil. But everybody was quiet, including that lawyer who was standing on the floor of parliament talking about rights. Because it seems to me that Jechikwesin did not have any rights. He was not as much of a human being as the people who went into that evil conspiracy against him. My dear brothers and sisters, there's a gentleman called Raymond Archer. He owned a printing company called Color Planet, which had some of the state-of-the-art printing equipment or the highest specifications in our country, Ghana. Under the guise of redevelopment of the trade fair site, somebody went to demolish the building that housed that equipment without even the gentleman having the opportunity to at least salvage some of the equipment. Don't forget that in 2008, the gentleman in question was one of the people who worked very hard to make sure that some people did not steal the true will of the people. And so some people suspect that it was a way of getting back at him. My brother, this is the level of ruthlessness that characterized just a few of the things that Yanum did to their fellow Ghanaians without even batting an eyelid. When they were in power, finally, there's a gentleman in the custody of the Republic of Ghana or the state called Gregory Afoko. He was accused of murder and arrested more than 7 years ago. The state has not been able to prove or conclude its case against the gentleman over this period. And there's a niggling suspicion that somebody wanted to show somebody else where power lay, using Gregory Afoko as proxy, because that person told that other person to step down from a particular contest and the person there defy him. The result is what we have seen before this Gregory Afoko chap. At some point in the proceedings, the court granted Gregory Afoko bail. The state refused to comply with the directive of the court. A clear case of contempt. And as we speak, Gregory Afoko is still in the custody of the state. It seems to me that Gregory Afoko has no rights. Especially when we went past the dark days of the Rollins era into the years of Nana Akufo-Addo, which were glorious years, where we had a lot of light in our judicial processes, and where we have recorded a lot of extrajudicial killings. Even though they told we, the people, that Nana Addo was a no-nonsense human rights lawyer per excellence. And here, I hope that one of the first things that the new Attorney General will do will be to file a nolli prosequi and set Gregory Afoko free, while some form of compensation is arranged to him or for him, and set charge to the people who handed him this very evil raw deal. My dear brothers and sisters, somebody should tell that member of parliament who tried that caper during the vetting of the incoming Attorney General that we, the people, are now woke. And when we look into the mirror, we can confidently say that even they who never had any military antecedents have proven to be far more ruthless and far more evil in their governance and administration of this country than any military leader we have ever had. The case file that Oral is building, that horror story of forced demolitions, forcefully taking over people's land with forged documents, and the plethora of extrajudicial killings of people like Ahmed Swale, of people like Rocco Frimpong, who was shot in the chest whilst attempting to enter his house, of people like that woman who was killed, that Gapoa woman who was just knifed to death, of people like J.B. Danko Adu, as well as all the people who were slaughtered like cows during the 2020 elections, goes to prove that they have lost every right to refer to the Rawlings government in uncomplimentary language of the variety that was mastered on that occasion. Especially when in his last days, They were allegedly dining and whining together. If Jerry Rawlings was such a terrible guy, such that his reign is described as, dark days, why were you people falling over yourselves from Chete Chove to go and cut him? It's something to think about. But please, on that score, they should stop wasting our ears. They should stop it. We are tired of that nonsense. In the dark days of the Jerry Rawlings era, where people were flogging people were killing people. My brother, we are tired. Unless you want to tell me that because you don't flog people using a cane, but you use legal processes to destroy them. You use buga force. You use finesse and all those things to destroy their businesses. It is okay. And this is where I turn to the umbrella people too. I know it's only been a short while since you took over power. But have you people seen the vibe, the posture, and the language that the people who did this country the most harm in the last 8 years have adopted so far? Have you seen it? Have you heard the press conferences that are coming out of the August House of Parliament, the aftermath of the voting and all those things? Have you seen the posture? Have you gone on social media to see the kinds of things that they are doing? Well, if you haven't, I encourage you to go and pay attention, start listening. I hope you consider it prayerfully as you talk about forgiveness and treating them nicely. I heard somebody say, oh no, we are not going to do the things they did to us. We are going to be civil. We are going to treat them nicely. My brother, I say, retain the energy. Whatever energy they gave you, retain it. Retain it. Good measure, press down, shake it together, and running over. Because this is a familiar script. You don't carry a baby rattlesnake into your house and say, oh, you are keeping it because it is a domesticated animal and you are keeping it for your children to come and play with it. Because it is the most dangerous reptile alive. So when you see a baby rattlesnake, you kill it. Chop off its head. Yo. I went to the wise as always resided in Konkonsa's mouth. Before I leave, I have an announcement to make. Please, I'm in desperate need of a godfather or godmother. I don't have one. I don't have a godfather or a godmother. So please, if you can be a good godfather or godmother to me, let me know so that I can engage. You understand? Because I'm not seeing the things well. But it appears that the syndrome of godfatherism and godmotherism is alive and well. You understand? So when you see certain things, you know that everybody needs a godfather or godmother. But I don't have any. So please, if you understand, Willie? Willie, do you know any godfathers or godmothers that you can send in my direction? Do so that I can, get close. You understand? Okay. On that note, may God bless our homeland Ghana and make it great and strong. Thank you for being on the flip side. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Ever!
Yeah, mama bro.
Why ya?
Your friend mama na me dey sign. So they will see unye hu edro. And them remo PC Herbal Center. And then fidie ehwehwe nipadua mu. Na odi ahahanra FDA. Agya to esa yare esiesie wi. Why? And o say ne mpaso agro enso ani. Munyina monko PC Herbal Center. Na ma menzema besiesie o. Wusisi ya hye okatita. Eni yare be na tete wo. Ko PC Herbal sesia. Bema ana oba onwo. Ana wodie upenimnyam ana etunyam nyina bra na PC Herbal be hihye wo nipadua no ama na sisi so kama ne bo so de se fofofo.
Hey sir,
she PC Herbal Center etwa kwan ewo Madina Social Welfare Takraden so on the Air Force Station Basic School no and a din hwani mu 00540 740 740 0542 995 997